Good morning, everybody. This is Zach from Perfect Chaos Collectibles, coming at you bright and early this Tuesday morning as I commute to my day job. Got some great news, pretty big success, and that's getting level 4 seller on TCGPlayer. So I started all this with a plan to attempt as best I could to speed run my way to level 4 seller. I'd already done a ton of research for weeks on how I would do shipping, sourcing my materials, equipment, some other things like that. I was able to fairly easily acquire some bulk in the local area. It's pretty decent bulk too, averaging out to about 1 to 2 cents a card, and got a good stack of some EXs and some other cards. And then I sacrificed some of my own personal collection of IRs and SIRs and things like that to entice folks to come to the storefront. And luck being what it is, recently I just so happened to start everything a few days before TCGPlayer's annual Mayhem sale. So I ain't gonna lie, that was absolutely a contributing factor in the majority of my sales early on. And because when you're a level 1 seller, you're limited to 100 cards total to list, and you have to do everything manually. I was very selective in the cards and the types of cards that I was listing at a competitive price. You know, I wasn't racing to the bottom or anything, but I was certainly below market. Focused a lot on trainers and playable cards. Went out there to search what are the most popular decks right now out in the meta, which ones are most desirable in quantities of 2 to 4 to build successful decks. Sorted through all that bulk over a few days, pulled out all these desirable trainers, all the Pokepads, all the Lily's Determinations, all the Rose's Encouragements, all the Night Stretchers and everything. Pulled all that out, and any other trainers that I saw were of value. Of course, listed all my EXs, IRs, SIRs. Those sell pretty easy. And the methodology with the trainers was to just list them 4 at a time. Players building decks typically need 4 of these cards, and the card optimizer is kind of in my benefit to that. So when you have someone looking for 4 copies of a card and they have 1 copy that I bought from 3 different people, paying shipping possibly on all 3 of those orders, you know, when they click that button, boom, optimized cart. They'll go out there and search for what is the most efficient and cheap version based on their search criteria to limit the number of packages and increase the number of cards from one seller. So with all my trainers, I know that card optimizer is helping me out a lot. And again, I would list them 4 at a time. And as soon as they would sell, I would list 4 more, and they would sell, and I would list 4 more. And that worked out pretty good, because if I had listed my entire inventory of every Pokepad I had, every Lilies I had, every Night Stretcher I had, every Ultra Ball I had, Force Vitality, whatever, Boss's orders, if somebody bought all of them, that's 1 order, that's 1 sale. But when I broke up my listings, I was able to get sale after sale after sale after sale, and they pretty much come close to wiping me out of those competitive cards over the last couple weeks. The TCG Mayhem sale that I learned about while all this was happening happens once a year, right before Memorial Day, and anybody on the site gets 8% or 10% store credit rebate on their purchases. So people are out there buying left and right. On that day, it was crazy. I was at home with the kids. One of the reasons why we're Perfect Chaos is I got 4 kids under 4 at home. My son just turned 4 about a week ago, and my triplet daughter just turned 2 back in April. So needless to say, it's a circus in my house. Just like it's just dumbbells, deadlifts, and daughters. Right? I'm a gym rat. I'm selling TCG cards and running a circus in my house. And we just so happen to start this business at or in between the release of Perfect Order and the pre-release of Chaos Rising, Perfect Chaos. I master setted both, put them in the same binder, an homage to this whole thing where I have a Perfect Order and a Chaos Rising master set, the same binder, that I'll probably keep forever. But I digress. Mayhem was pandemonium. I was not prepared for that, I think, as much as I could have been. Still pumped out all the orders, but I had something like 40 or 50 orders that day. They're coming in 2 or 3 at a time throughout the day. They'd come in and I'd list more. And I just kept pumping them out. And by the end of the day, the Mayhem sale, I had already reached the number of order total that I needed for level 4 seller. And now it was a waiting game. It's a waiting game of the U.S. Postal Service, getting all these orders to the customer, receiving feedback, and just waiting it out. So from the first card I listed on the 23rd of May till yesterday, the 8th of June, I hit level 4. So we're sitting at roughly 17 days. I was able to speed run my way to the promised land of CSV imports and exports and mass pricing updates. I tell you, man, as a level 1 through 3, trying to go in there updating your pricing as the market fluctuates and changes throughout the day. It's not impossible if you keep up with it, but it kind of sucks. Using the price review or view prices report on your inventory in TCGPlayer, I would compare where I'm at in the market, where I'm at in the low. Am I high? Am I low? How high am I? How much lower am I? And I'd go in there and probably have 4 or 5 cards a couple times a day. The market's changed. Market went up, market went down. Then I'd go in there and manually change those prices to adjust. And it worked out pretty good. So last night, changed my shipping. Free shipping for orders over 5. It's the first thing I did out the gate. Immediately got a couple orders within 5 minutes. And then mass repricing of everything I currently had in my inventory. Had about 800 something cards in the inventory at that time. All manual, punching them in, hand jamming. Did a mass update of my prices, imported that, and things have been cooking. I woke up this morning, 4 a.m., hit the gym, checked my orders, 5 orders before I got in the car to head to work with higher prices that I normally do. I assume and attribute a lot of that to the free shipping orders of $5, which is pretty nice. And then as I prepare through the week and kind of deplete what I have in the inventory right now, this weekend, I'll be busting out the Rico, the infamous Rico 8170 scanner, and scanning in and listing 1,000 of my bulk cards, primarily targeting my hollows, reverse hollows, some of the more popular sets, and all my trainers. And then I'll start going through my bulk. So by the end of it, if I get everything listed, I'll probably be, somewhere in between 18, 20,000 cards. Once I get it all listed, I'm going to get the bulk of it this weekend, and then probably, a few hundred a night before going to bed. We'll see what happens. I heard there's some magic happen once you've hit something like 12,000 cards list, which sounds insane to me. But I got a pretty good workflow going right now. Pull orders, pack and ship in the morning before I go to work. Pull orders, pack and ship at night when all the kids are at bed. And whenever I have bulk to sort, I'll sit there and sort between sets, working out in my gym in the morning. So fingers crossed, hopefully this level 4 seller and 5-figure listing isn't going to become too overwhelming too fast, but we'll see what happens. I'm pretty excited. 11 days or 17 days, we've done about $1,900 in gross sales, primarily in just bulk. The IRs, SIRs, and EXs, a few of those. I mean, I've had a couple cards over $100, so, that's beneficial. A few large orders, 25, 30, 40 cards at a time. But most of it has been, 8 to 12 cards, bulk, trainers, and just pumping them out. So it's a grind, but I love this kind of madness. I'm fortunate to have had some capital to start with. I know everybody doesn't have that option. So to be able to come out of the gate buying some bulk shipping supplies, some equipment, the thermal printer, the shipping shields. Love you guys. You've been great. Have ton of awesome feedback on you in your team box. Their team box for my large orders has been awesome. For those of you who don't know, Shipping Shields makes a team box. You can fit probably 40 or 50 cards in a team bag in that thing. Packs it up nice and tight, peel and stick. Boom, small little box. Fits perfectly in a bubble mailer and keeps everything safe and secure on shipments. So shout out to you guys, Shipping Shields. It's been great. The ability to source supplies and source equipment, you know, based on some of the capital I had, you know, that's a blessing. We've been lucky in my ability to go out and purchase some bulk buys in the area before I started. It was beneficial, but I never half-ass anything. I've spent 26 and a half years in the military. So if there's anything I know, it's discipline, repetition, and a good game of hurry up and wait, which is what it felt like after the Mayhem sale. I hurried up, I got those orders out, and then I just had to wait. I had to wait for them to hit mailboxes and for that feedback to come in. And thank you to everybody who's made an order. Thank you to everybody who's provided some awesome feedback. Everybody loves the fast shipping. They love the secure packaging. You know, things are going great. And when it comes to packaging, you know, we all make our choices. I got a lot of supplies in pretty large bulk quantities, so it got my costs down pretty good on per shipping shield, per envelope, you know, per label, you know, all the way down. And right now I've been printing my stamps, you know, through stamps.com and a few other things, getting some discounts and using pirate ship if I have to go USPS ground, etc. But when it comes to shipping stuff out, you know, you're going to find what you prefer. You're going to find what your customers prefer. You know, one of the best pieces of feedback I had was from somebody that bought a bunch of trainer cards, and they were surprised and very happy with just how well packaged some playable cards were sent to them. And, you know, from a customer service standpoint, somebody buying a, you know, $100-something in Zekrom Pokemon Center promo card is getting the same style of secure packaging as somebody who buys, you know, 2 Pokepads. You know, so I keep it pretty consistent. It balances out, you know, if you think of it in terms of like dollar cost averaging for any of you who think in that way. I'm not trying to squeeze every little penny out of every little person or every little penny out of every envelope that goes out the door, and giving all the customers the same experience, you know, and it's been working out pretty good so far. So we'll see how things go. Again, pretty excited. I'll let you guys know how things go this weekend after my inventory drastically increases from about 800 or 900 to over 10,000 cards. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, you don't half-ass a bunch of things, you whole-ass one thing. And it reminds me of an old poem from Charles Bukowski, for any of you Bukowski fans out there. And I believe it was called Laughing Heart, if memory serves me, or maybe it's Go All the Way. It's one of those. But it starts off, you know, if you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. And that poem's always kind of resonated in the things that I do and how I approach life, how I approach my family, how I approach business, how I approach investing. If you're going to try, go all the way. And that's what we're doing. Going all the way. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for embracing the chaos with me, and looking forward to seeing where this goes. Later.